This is a breaking news alert. Romania, a member of NATO, has been attacked by Russia. Let me repeat that. Romania, a member of NATO, has been attacked by Russia. You can see the images right here of a Russian drone attack that struck a residential building in Galati, Romania. According to reports from the scene, we're also hearing from Romania's defense ministry confirming the same. And as of now, Donald Trump and the United States have gone absolutely silent about this attack on Romania by Russia. The last post that Donald Trump made was about 8 hours ago when he posted, "These fountains haven't worked in decades." Okay. And then about 22 hours ago when he posted an AI image of the reflecting pool that he keeps on talking about over and over again. Romania is a NATO member state, and initial reports sadly indicate that many people were injured, including several with serious injuries after this Russian runway attack drone impacted the building in eastern Romania overnight. You can see right there, Romania borders Ukraine, Moldova, Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia, Bulgaria. You see its proximity to Ukraine right there. I want to show you the video footage coming in right now, showing the moment that a Russian one-way attack drone struck this apartment building in the Romanian city of Galati. Here, let's play this clip. Here's some video of wreckage found at the site of the drone strike tonight at this apartment building in Galati in eastern Romania, which injured several citizens. And again, this appears to confirm that the building was indeed struck with a Russian Giran 2 Shahed 136, as OSINT, open source defender, discusses. Here, play this clip. You can see right here in this next video, fire and rescue services rushing to the site of this Russian drone attack on the residential building in Romania. Let's play this clip. Show you more footage right here as these reports coming in of several people injured, some very seriously following this impact of the Russian one-way attack drone on this residential building in eastern Romania. Now, Romania's Ministry of Defense has confirmed that a one-way attack drone entered Romanian airspace during a Russian attack, they say, on Ukraine that was being tracked until it struck a block of residential flats in the eastern Romanian city of Galati. 2 F-16 fighter Falcons with the Air Police Combat Service took off at 1:19 from the 86th Air Base in Fetesti prior to the impact, supported by an IAR-330 SOCAT helicopter of the Romanian Air Force, with the aircraft pilots being authorized to engage targets the entire time they were in Romanian airspace. As this additional account, AMK Mapping, explains this. Take a look at the video here. It appears to be a Russian Giran 2 or Jabrera drone striking this high rise. This is around 13.5 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. So not too far, but not like right there. Prior to the attack, air raid alerts were issued in parts of Romania due to the drone incursion into Romanian airspace. At least 2 people were injured, 70 others evacuated from the building where a fire subsequently broke out. Romanian authorities say they are investigating it, but you just see right now the statement from Romania's Ministry of Defense right there. Yaroslav Trifimov explains, Russia may not have intended to hit Romania, but in planning its attack on Ukraine, it doesn't mind if Romania gets struck once in a while, calculating correctly so far that there will be no price to pay for it. Dr. Malcolm Davis writing, at the very least, this must activate NATO's Article 4, but it's serious enough to potentially trigger Article 5 in terms of additional NATO forces deployed forward to strengthen Romania's defense. A failure to respond would invite further Russian attacks right here. And just a quick reminder, Article 4 of NATO is the consultation provision. Article 5 activates the official defense, joint defense provision, but we'll see if Article 4, this consultation, is activated. The text of Article 4, the parties will consult together whenever, in the opinion of any of them, the territorial integrity, political independence, or security of any of the parties is threatened, and this allows any NATO member to request formal consultations in the North Atlantic Council if they perceive a threat. It triggers discussion, information sharing, and potential joint planning or non-military measures. It doesn't require the military action of Article 5, but it's the precursor to Article 5, of course. Now, one of the things we've been reporting here on the MeidasTouch network is that the battlefield from Russia's invasion has been dramatically changing lately. We've seen Ukraine, a very successful counteroffensive, Ukraine taking the initiative and gaining territory. We've also seen Ukraine drone strikes reaching deep into Moscow, hitting the Moscow Oblast, hitting oil depots and other critical infrastructure used by Russia's military. Then we've subsequently seen Russia respond by telling Marco Rubio, United States Secretary of State, to evacuate any United States diplomatic interest in Kyiv, saying that Russia would be striking Kyiv very hard. We saw in the past few days Russia indeed shooting Orishniks, using the Shahid drones, using other ballistic missiles to strike at Kyiv, particularly civilian areas in Kyiv as well. And Russia says they intend to escalate that in Kyiv. But earlier today, we saw major Ukrainian drone raids into southern Russia with Flamingo heavyweight cruise missiles mixed in. Russian channels were reporting that the Flamingos are heading into the Volga River Valley. Also, you see this photo right here today, the aftermath of a Ukrainian mid-range drone strike on a pair of Russian fuel tankers traveling on the critical R-280 supply route deep behind the front line. The pair of burning Russian tankers managed to block the highway. You see that right here. Notably, when it comes to Romania, Romania is firmly aligned with the West, European Union, NATO, ostensibly the United States, although the U.S. has turned its back on NATO and the UA and not Russia. It's a strong NATO member on the eastern flank, bordering the Black Sea and Ukraine. It's consistently supported Ukraine against Russia's invasion while criticizing Moscow. You remember we covered the race of their president, Nicosar Dan, independent centrists elected in May 2025 in a runoff against the far right, more Putin-aligned George Simeon. Remember, we covered that here. A lot of young voters voting for Nicosar Dan, more pro-European Union, pro-West, pro-Ukraine. That was a big election. And Romania, core member of NATO. Earlier today, Zelensky was giving a speech where he was meeting with Sweden, and he talked about how diplomacy right now cannot stop Russia alone. We have to stop them with our long-range sanctions, meaning missiles. Here, play this clip.
I believe they must act quicker. We are being very persistent. We're asking it very persistently. Winter's ahead. Russia, as of now, diplomacy cannot stop Russia. We are stopping them with our long-range sanctions, and we very much ask our American partners to help us with allocating bigger number of anti-ballistic missiles, PAC-3 missiles, or give Ukraine licenses so that Ukraine can increase this capability on its own and provide help to other countries. In June,
and then we heard from top Russian military generals early today warning for foreign ambassadors to leave Kyiv. Were completely serious and deliberate. The strike on Kyiv that Russia warned about could be carried out at any moment. Although we saw this strike right here in Romania. Former Europe Army Commander Ben Hodges talked about the recent change in dynamic on the front lines. Here's what Hodges had to say. Let's play this clip.
You notice the tone from the president has changed recently about Ukraine, how Zelensky's not such a bad guy. We actually kind of get along, and how impressive it is that Ukrainians are fighting like crazy, because he can see finally what everyone else has been seeing is that the Ukrainians are smacking the Russians and the Russians are failing. And so now he's trying to sort of change his tune a little bit there as well. So that's who we're dealing with.
And as the study of war talked about, Russia's war in Ukraine no longer a stalemate. Kyiv is now calling the shots. George Barros over at the study of war says that we're in a new phase. The new report shows how Ukraine is actively challenging the positional character of the war that has dominated the battlefield since 2023. You'll recall last Friday, when there was that big NATO summit, Marco Rubio, the NATO summit was first, it was going to be in Ankara, India. It was going to be in Ankara, Turkey, but this was held in Sweden in advance of that. You had Marco Rubio saying that the U.S. would stop getting involved in any peace discussions between Russia and Ukraine. Here's what he had to say. Let's play this clip.
Yeah, the peace negotiations on Ukraine under American leadership. Let me just say, we got involved, okay, because we were told we were the only ones that could do it. We were the only ones that the Russians and the Ukrainians would talk to. So we got involved. They were not fruitful, unfortunately. That's the play. We stand ready to continue to play that role, despite leaks that are not true, despite stories out there about us forcing the Ukrainians to take this position or that position, which are not true. If we see an opportunity to pull together talks that are productive, not counterproductive, and that have the chance to be fruitful, we're prepared to play that role. There are no such talks occurring at this time. But we hope that will change, because that war can only end with a negotiated settlement. It will not end with a military victory by one side or the other, at least from a traditional standpoint of how military victories are defined. So it will have to lead. And if we can play a role in making that happen, the president is very much interested in doing it. We just, over the last few months, just sort of sensed that there wasn't a lot of progress being made, but maybe dynamics will change. And if they do, we stand ready to play whatever constructive role we can play. If someone else would like to handle it, they should. But it doesn't appear to be anybody else in the world right now that can handle it. So we're more than happy to do that if the opportunity presents itself to have constructive and productive talks. We're also not interested in getting involved in an endless cycle of meetings that lead to nothing.
And a reminder of all of Donald Trump's lies when he promised he would end the war in 24 hours. Let's play this clip.
Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
And here's what Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, had to say last week at this initial meeting of NATO. Let's play it.
Ukraine is putting up a strong defense. And when you look at the front line at the moment, it is stabilizing. There are even reports that Ukraine is in net terms regaining territory. Not massively, but at least it is stabilizing. And potentially even moving now in the right direction and not any longer in the wrong direction. So from the west to the east and not from the east to the west. And this is amazing. And this is what the Ukrainians are doing. And the Ukrainians have been incredible ingenious in terms of their ability to innovate. And this is one of the things we are learning all over NATO from Ukraine. For example, when it comes to the drone warfare and the anti-drone technologies. This is why we have JTEC, this joint organization in Poland, where we capture all the lessons from the war so that we can figure them in the NATO plans. So I would not be too happy if I was Putin today, but I was never happy if I was Putin, but particularly not the last couple of weeks, because things are not going in the right direction.
Well, we'll keep you posted about if Article 4 is being triggered, what's happening. I want to give you the lay of the land. We'll keep you posted every step of the way, of course, on the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.